Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Ranjit. Today I'm here to review and share my feedback as a owner for a 2015 Kia Optima. Majority of these things are common issues that are experienced by the generation from 11 till 15. Let's start. Let's go ahead. These motors are notorious for two problems. First thing is oil consumption, like excessive oil consumption of around 1.5 to 2 liters per thousand kilometers, uh, and eventually what happens with the extended oil change intervals, you fill the oil in, and some random company or whatever the oil brand says you could drive 10,000 miles or 15,000 kilometers, and these engines tend to burn oil at a rate of around a liter per thousand kilometers. So 4,000 kilometers in, and you have no oil in the engine, and there you go, your engine grenades. So that's the biggest issue these had, and they also had an issue with production, where they say there is some machining debris left while manufacturing the crankshaft, and eventually lets uh, the one of the bearings to seize and locks the motor up. These are the two engines, but luckily Kia and Hyundai are taking care of this issue with an extended servicing campaign, where you could take the car in, and as long as you have valid maintenance history and your car has been decently maintained, they honor the warranty and replace the engine, as long as that specific issue is updated in the car. So this car had a similar issue where the engine seized up and it had to be replaced. So Kia Canada replaced the long block on this engine, and I have a new engine, and ever since it's been actually pretty good. And if you look at the transmission on this is called A6 MF1. It's a 6-speed transmission, very reliable, and the service intervals on it are every 95, 100,000 kilometers or 60,000 miles, how you look at it, or every 5 years. And I'm close to 180,000 kilometers. I've gotten it serviced once, and so far it's been pretty good. Uh, One more thing I would like to mention is the fuel economy. The fuel economy on this particular car, it's a 2.4 liter, not the beefed up 2-liter turbo, has been pretty good. Um, Recently for the Christmas, I had a very long trip. Uh, I drove all the way from Toronto to North Carolina, and it was close to a 14-15 hour drive, and like back and forth, the entire trip was, I believe, 3,500 kilometers or close to 2,000 miles, and I got a fuel economy of 7.3 kilometers per 100 kilometers. Sorry, 7.3 liters per 100 kilometers. I can't really recall what it is in miles per gallon, but I would love to put it. I'll definitely leave it somewhere. Far as the information I got to know, this engine is a completely different part number from the original engine that came with this VIN. So I believe it's an updated engine, and so far, as far as I have observed, and once we replace the engine under the campaign, I've seen people do over 200,000 kilometers, as long as the car is maintained and oil is changed frequently every 6,000 kilometers or every 4,000 miles, and we never had any major engine failure. One more problem that I faced, and I've observed with a lot of Kias, is the relatively weak AC compressor, which, to be honest, we don't get to use for a longer period of the year, only for a short span when it's summer and too hot. The AC compressors on these are weak, especially the low side. The compressor can't produce enough pressure, and it keeps bouncing back and forth, and a lot of people have complained this. Second issue I observe with this car is the AC compressor. Uh, if you live in a hot climate, it is a very big deal, but here in Canada, where I live, and the summer is only for few months, and temperatures are not really that high during the rest of the year. So uh, the AC compressor is not used all the time to uh, generate cool air or reject the heat and all. So what happens is, it takes a prolonged amount of time to cool your car. You have to keep on driving, and especially if you are idling, it may not really blow cold air on a very hot sunny day. The only issue is to replace the compressor, and that takes care of the issue. And my car is plagued by this issue, but I use it only for 3-4 months, and my commutes are like 20 minutes to half an hour to my work. And by the time I'm home, it gets cool, and I'm okay with it. So I didn't really replace it for now, and still running, and everything is okay. One more very common issue with this car is with the steering wheel. And if you look at this is a base trim, comes with a polyurethane steering wheel, and this is not a problem. But if you buy the different trims such as EX and LX, which comes with a leather wrapped and mainly heated steering wheel, the leather wears out prematurely, and it causes lot of discomfort while driving. The only fix is to get it upholstered or replaced, which is a very pricey fix. And one more icing on the cake, I added an Android radio, which is really amazing. Let me know if you guys are interested in seeing a review of this. I will definitely drop, and this is the best thing I've added to this car. The rest of the issues that I face with this car are mainly in the back. So starting with, both the rear brake calipers are a common issue in this car. So over time they seize up and they make popping noises, and they don't really work well. The only fix is to replace them, and I got it taken care of, and ever since they have been pretty good. And the rest are on the trunk. And this thing is a very common issue with Hyundai and Kia cars in the rust belt region. So if you look at this, the license plate screws are bolted onto a metal rivet with an M6 into 1 millimeter thread. What happens is, when someone purchases the car, they put the plate on, and they never look after the plate or anything for next 5 years or whenever they decide to sell it. And mean the time, the screws will seize up in the trunk, and whenever you try to take the plate out and sell the car, the bolts snap inside or they keep spinning inside. The only way is to take the interior panel out and heat it up and take it. So which I could not really do. So I stuck to using a two-side tape and very automotive grade tape, and I was able to secure my license plate, and I closed the bolts. So that's one issue. And the other common issue in the trunk is this trunk. So this is a rust belt special too. If you happen to notice, this is the button that we press to unlock the trunk. What happens is, over time there is a rust buildup in this trunk panel, and it lets the button loose, and the button keeps dangling. The only way to fix is replace the trunk. And as you can see, little bit of rust started to form, and I sprayed it from inside with fluid film to kind of slow down the process, but there is no way around. Once the rust starts, and you couldn't really do anything. And this is the backup camera for the audio unit that I've added. One last thing that I would like to share before I close this video. One common issue with 11 to 15 Optima, the generation TF or QF, is fuel lines and brake lines. If you happen to live in salt belt or rust belt where they put road salts in winter, like my place Toronto in Canada, the fuel lines rot and go. I should say the fuel line, because this is a returnless system where it has only one fuel line going from low pressure pump to the high pressure pump, and it loves to corrode and drip fuel, and which I experienced, and I had to put a fuel line in my car. It is not a really expensive fix. The gas line was about 180 Canadian dollars, and it took me 2 hours to kind of do it. Doing it on a lift makes it easy, and if you are DIYing it on the ground, not the greatest thing because you're going to drip fuel and all. But definitely, I would really recommend undercoating these cars. Is the gas and fuel lines and brake lines. You have to take the panels out and thoroughly coat it so that they don't get salt. Um, but overall, I should say the experience has been pretty great. This car is 10 years old at this point, had multiple owners, um, but still the paint has held up really good, and there is not much rust you see on the body, even though it's never been coated, always driven um, in winters and all. I should say I would definitely recommend purchasing this vehicle, and as long as the engine issue is being taken care of, because that's a really major expense. If you buy a car and a few days or few months later the engine blows up because no one really maintained it. And second most thing before I end this video is, if you're buying this car used, try to gather all the maintenance receipts as possible. Every single thing or any single receipt that's been put into this car really helps when you're going to Kia and get your engine claim being approved or review. That really helps. And thank you, and have a good day, and see you again.